In a sellout crowd in stores, it's the 8th-ranked UConn Huskies and the 20th-ranked Maryland Terrapins. Good evening, everybody. It's great to have you with us. I'm John Fanta. She is Christy Winter-Scott, and welcome to Stores. What's the top storyline on your mind heading into this showdown?
Well, John, both teams are 1-1, coming off losses, and they want to right the ship. They want to get into the win column, and how do you do that? You do that with grit, determination, focus, and intentionality, and we'll see which team does that best.
We have two players that are on that National Player of the Year watch list in this showdown.
Well, for Maryland, junior shy. Last year, she was sophomore shy. This year, she has stepped into a new role. No Abby Myers, no Diamond Miller to fall back on. She's averaging 23. And then for UConn, Paige Beckers, 27 points against NC State. And look at her efficiency. She also had 3 assists, but she'll need some help in this game this evening.
Last year, when the Terrapins and Huskies met, Maryland got the best of UConn. Cheyenne Sellers is looking for a repeat effort. Paige Beckers is back for UConn and looking for redemption. Tip-off next. Moments away from tip-off for a top 20 women's basketball showdown. Big Ten and Big East colliding as Maryland visits UConn. Starting lineups are sponsored by Jeep. There's only one, and we begin the night with big news. UConn junior star AZ Fudd suffered a knee injury in practice earlier this week. The program announcing an hour before tip-off. More info will be available at a later date following testing. What does that mean to this game?
Well, that means that they're going to have to shift and move and have a different level of rotational players come in and play maybe one position over. But for now, we see what the starting lineup is for Connecticut.
There is AZ Fudd, the sharpshooter. And today, Christy, when UConn was working on getting ready for this Maryland team without Fudd, the thought was they could see zone. Why?
They could see zone because AZ Fudd is an effective scorer from the outside and at the mid-range, but she can also create offense by how the defense dictates where she goes and dictates how many defenders she sees. So if she's double-teamed, she will be able to find her teammates on kickouts, 4 triples, or dribble drives on attacks of closeouts.
The Hall of Famer Gino Auriemma on one side of this showdown. He talked with his team about communication today after giving up 92 points in the loss at NC State.
Yes, Gino Auriemma, he told us today, he said, listen, we scored 82 points, and usually that's enough for us, but we have to do our due diligence on the defensive end and close the paint. NC State did an incredible job of attacking that area. The point of contact defensively needs to be taken away, and the gaps need to be closed defensively for UConn.
How about Brenda Frese, winningest head coach in Maryland women's basketball history?
She's in her 22nd year. Brenda Frese has done a phenomenal job. Over 600 wins, 564 of those have been at the helm for the Terps.
Meeting number 9 between these two teams. UConn leads the all-time series 7-1. The Terps took the most recent meeting and we're underway.
Maryland starts out in man-to-man defense, but you see they like to switch. They can switch 1 to 5.
Nika Mule gets the Huskies started.
Nika Mule, I tell you what, you've got to find her early. She leads the team with 11 assists in the 2 games that UConn has played, but she can stroke the shots from the outside.
Paige Beckers glides in and forces a turnover.
Let's take a look. UConn, what they like to do is get 10 toes down in the paint and get those paint threes and kick it out to the corner. And if you're Maryland, you've got to get there sooner. But if you're UConn, you love how you come out of the gates for this game. Both teams, as we said, coming off losses. Who has the grit and the execution in this one to take home the dub?
An illegal screen set by Aaliyah Edwards, so an early foul less than a minute into the game.
Well, if you're Edwards, you have to maintain your positioning. You can't lean to the right or the left. You have to stay in your cylinder. But it's also up to your teammate to time it properly so the contact happens at the proper time when you're in position.
Pull-up 3 is off the heel, and the rebound to Aubrey Griffin, who gets the start for UConn.
Griffin is starting in place of AZ Fudd.
There's Paige Beckers.
Well, Paige Beckers, what she has been able to do is be the initiator. She said to us today after practice, I haven't played basketball in 500 days or more, and this is my third game back. And it feels great to be back on the floor, and you can see the joy that Paige Beckers is playing with and the intentionality right there, the change of direction and the length that she possesses allows for her to rise and fire on that second line of defense and smooch it off the window. See what UConn likes to do. They're trying to establish Edwards down inside, but fifth-year player Faith Massonis playing nice and sturdy defense, disallowing easy touches to come her way.
6 on the shot clock. Beckers with 3. Paige Beckers. Now for the rebound, and it belongs to Cheyenne Sellers. That's a travel.
Yeah, miscue right there in terms of timing. And I thought the spacing was a little bit jammed up. Usually if you're that close, go ahead and cut through and get to the opposite side and let Cheyenne Sellers continue her momentum and possibly stay in attack mode and get to the cup.
What do you think is the key for Maryland on the defensive end tonight?
Well, they have to communicate on plays like that one.
As Beckers has started strong for the first 7.
Well, you have to understand Paige Beckers, she is shifty with and without the basketball, so you have to be communicative if you're Maryland on that kind of play.
Kick to the corner, Jakia Brown-Turner can't connect, and here comes Mule. The Huskies off that loss to NC State, coming out with a purpose. Ducharme. Drive by Sellers, she was altered by Edwards.
And no one home for Maryland to get a second or third chance opportunity on the glass.
Ducharme off this time.
John, you spoke about Jakia Brown-Turner for Maryland.
There she is, Jakia Brown-Turner. She's unfazed. This is the third time in her career that she's faced Connecticut.
Right, and I was waiting on the timing of that shot to see if she's going to knock it home because I brought her name up. But she's a transfer from NC State, and the last time she faced UConn, she hit the buzzer beater to force an overtime game in an Elite 8 situation. So she is familiar with these surroundings and stores.
Aubrey Griffin with the pursuit of the basketball in the bucket.
And that's the extra activity that Griffin gives UConn. In the absence of AZ Fudd, they're going to need to maximize their possessions. And the more possessions you can get on second chance shots and high percentage shots, the better.
Faith Massonis, Aubrey Griffin with a rejection. Ducharme travels.
It was a good job there by Cheyenne Sellers to close out on that transition 3, but the defense from UConn, they have taken a tremendous amount of pride. That's what they've been working on all week. Aubrey Griffin times it to perfection, gets up top and gets all ball, and denies Faith Massonis an easy look at it.
Talked about this UConn team trying to respond. Maryland coming off of a 114-76 loss to Dawn Staley in South Carolina.
And that was a tough game, and Brenda Fries, as well as Gino Auriemma, in the last couple of days has tested and challenged the character of their team in terms of how they're going to play defense.
Beckers ahead to Griffin, but Brown-Turner got back defensively. Jakia Brown-Turner, Edwards stuffed it.
Well, you can see the intentionality on the defensive end by both teams. They have taken pride on the defensive side. And you can see Edwards right there with 2 hands on the block on Jakia Brown-Turner.
Big East preseason freshman of the year, KK Arnold, in for Connecticut. Deflection by UConn, and it'll stay with the Terps with 13.
Well, John, going back to what we were talking about in the absence of AZ Fudd in this contest, Gino Auriemma told us, he said figuring rotations is going to be the biggest challenge for this team without AZ on the floor.
Cheyenne Sellers. Rebounding also an emphasis by both these coaches. Maryland gets an extra opportunity. They'll get a third. Lavender Briggs cash.
Lavender Briggs really trying to pick up her offensive production. The last couple of games just hasn't really been there. Transfer out of Florida in her second season. We take a look right here. The extra possession, because of the dogged effort on the offensive boards, leads to that triple for Maryland.
Edwards doubled, and Edwards just forced her way through that for the bucket.
Well, Edwards coming into this game is leading UConn in scoring, and she has just been a solid force inside, especially last year, John, when UConn had a lot of injuries. She was that steadying force on the interior.
Paige Beckers is back, Christy.
Paige Beckers is back, and she is loving life here at home in Stores, collecting bucket after bucket on the home court for the Huskies.
Paige Beckers back on the hardwood for the UConn Huskies. Looking at the timeline, she was the first freshman to win the AP National Player of the Year in the Wooden Award. Then in 2021-22, missing those 19 games, still got to the national championship game. Misses all of last year, 584 days passed, and now she's back, and she is out to prove that the UConn dynasty has not ended.
No, it has not, and she said that she is playing with so much more purpose and pride, and you already knew that was in place. So to think that she has even more fuel to her fire, that's saying a lot. And Paige Beckers has been an amazing force for this program and what she has been able to do, and to miss that time just made her even more hungry, which is unfathomable.
Maryland with the basketball out of the timeout, and another deflection by UConn defensively.
Well, UConn, what you are seeing them do is close the straight line drive path down from Maryland and disallowing Cheyenne Sellers to drive right there. She drove right into a wall on that lane line. So they are helping each other, they're rotating, and that's what Paige Beckers told us today. After practice, she said, we're going to have to trust the next line to be there for help. Look at the double team right there.
On Sellers, who loses it. And Edwards could not successfully throw that over to Beckers.
Well, what happens when you blitz defensively? Then everyone else has to rotate to the ball. It's two people on the ball, two people one pass away, and a safety. And UConn has displayed that in the last two possessions to perfection. There's the trap again.
That's an illegal screen. And it's on McDaniel.
Brenda Freeze has the incredulous reaction, but just watch. There's the blitz. And then the screen was being set, and it was deemed that she was not established, so it's a tough one. Here's some zone by Maryland, the 2-3.
Mule, and that's a kick ball.
What Maryland did last year a lot, because they didn't have a lot of size. Diamond Miller has graduated, obviously, playing with the Minnesota Lynx in the WNBA. Abby Myers selected 10th in the WNBA draft to Dallas, played some time with the Washington Mystics as well. But they had to really shift and move, so they had a lot of matchup zone situations. They had a lot of man, where we were talking about they would switch 1 to 5 as well.
With 10 on the shot clock, here's Beckers. Mule. An air ball, and it will go back to the Terps.
What Maryland needs to do now on the offensive end is settle in to what they are looking for schematically. It looks like right now they're playing into the hands of Connecticut, and credit Connecticut's defense for that.
Maryland reaching the Elite Eight last year, fell to South Carolina. 3 straight seasons heading to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament.
See, they look discombobulated off the ball here, trying to set some ball screens, but Connecticut is blitzing with that double team.
Brown Turner kicks. Briggs. She was open, but Arnold's got the rebound. Mule into Edwards. crowd traveled.
Both teams taking a tremendous amount of pride on the defensive end. Edwards' lane to the rack was cut off there by Maryland. Here's the entry pass, and then two defenders meet Edwards right where she catches it. The turnover occurs.
May Alexander gets it inside. Ali Kubek. Kubek off the window.
And that's a tough bucket inside. Brenda Freese told us Ali Kubek would have started last year had she not been injured. She hurt her knee last season, missed the entire year.
Leah Edwards. And Maryland strung a couple of stops together.
And Edwards can hit that shot, but I know Brenda Freese would much rather that shot go up from her than something down in the paint.
That one doesn't fall for Briggs. Mule ahead to Edwards. Sellers got her hand on it.
Sellers had to get on her horse and get back there to make sure that wasn't going to be an easy rim run inside for Edwards, and tapped it away.
Becker's a little bit short. As much as we talk about Cheyenne Sellers and the kind of scorer she is, Christy, 46 points for the first two games. She was all Big Ten defense last year.
Absolutely, and a preseason all Big Ten selection, and she has just taken a lot of pride in her game. Played some USA basketball over the summer, which afforded her even more experience.
Brown Turner. Edwards trying to get to it, and Maryland will keep it.
Going back to Cheyenne Sellers, in the two games, she's totaled 46 points combined, an average of 23 per game. So her freshman year, she was a staunch defender. Last year, she had a little bit of both, but now you've seen an onslaught of her offensive capabilities, which has been nice to see.
Jakia Brown Turner on an island. Griffin wasn't having it, 10 on the shot clock. Lavender Briggs with 6. With 3 on the shot clock, Sellers will have to heave. She does. The Huskies with another stop.
Good job by Connecticut there to bump and switch and be right there, staying connected with Sellers, forcing a tough shot to go up.
And Beckers takes a hit. And she is down.
Like she got poked in the eye, and if that has ever happened to you, and it happened to me before, and that hurts a lot. Right there you see the finger going right into the eye of Paige Beckers as Maryland was trying to switch that action on the pick and roll.
Paige Beckers, Gino Auriemma called her the toughest player that he's ever coached. He said the way that she grew throughout her injuries and all that adversity amazes him, because it could have been so easy for her to go, woe is me.
Absolutely. You know, you have to have the resilience and the persistence, and you knew that she possessed that, but nothing brings that more to light than her standing up and hearing this crowd.
To see that she's able to walk under her own power. We'll see how that progresses as the game goes on. You see how these two teams come into tonight. They're two of the top 10 winningest programs in the history of women's college basketball, so it's rare for them both to be coming off a defeat.
Absolutely. For both.
To the corner, it's Arnold. Now, UConn already without AZ Fudd with a knee injury. Now Beckers on the sidelines getting tended to. And out of bounds called on Riley Nelson.
We'll see what UConn is going to come down and get into. You see, that heel is directly on the line. A great call by the officials.
Caden Samuels comes in for Connecticut, 14 points against NC State.
Gino Ariema, who recruited me back in the day, said that she was a mini me, and I like that. I was like, she's a tough player.
Aubrey Griffin with a nice look right there at the elbow, but you got to get back defensively because Maryland's ready to fire it. Mule running the floor now. Nika Mule. Samuels. Offensive rebound to Griffin. Ducharme is fouled.
Good job there by Ducharme to attack the closeout. Because of her ability to knock in threes, you're going to get right up on that shot and try to contest it at the three-point line. But she did a good job of ripping and going and attacking the hip of the defender, taking her right to the line.
So the junior, Ducharme, at the line. And this all goes back to the original point that Gino Ariema brought up as Beckers is sorting out her right eye. Just because Paige Beckers is back, it can't change the way his team plays.
Absolutely, and you have to know that Paige Beckers is hungry to be back on the floor, and she's been the initiator, and that's what Gino Ariema said was different when they played NC State. But she had the ball a lot, and Nika Mule was lost because her role was taken away in that regard.
Shot clock off. Sellers kicks to the corner. That was rejected. With 7 left, Ducharme.
High hands, active feet on closeouts. Really impactful defense early on in this game by the home team.
4 blocks on the quarter for the Huskies. Maryland trying to get it in. Mule got a hand on it. Cheyenne Sellers gives Maryland a huge 3 to close the quarter.
And that was a huge bucket by Cheyenne Sellers, relocating to the corner. Got that kick out. Cheyenne Sellers doesn't have to get ready because she stays ready for big moments. Gino Ariema says you got to get out there. Brenda Fries is saying let it fly. More to come on the other side.
Welcome back to a sold-out Gamble Pavilion. UConn and Maryland in a 3-point game after 1. Let's go in the huddle with Maryland head coach Brenda Fries.
We've got 10 threes. Way too many. Way too many. We've got to drive the basketball. We've got 0 free throw attempts.
When you're looking at what Maryland has done in that first quarter, 3 out of 10 from 3. But they finished in the Elite 8, one of 3 Big Ten teams last year, a record in the conference for women's basketball to have 3 teams represented there. And the preseason poll, they were sitting at 14th before losing to South Carolina, who was ranked number 1 in the poll after that. So 3 out of 10 from 3, way too many shots going up from the outside. Brenda Fries says we haven't been to the free throw line. That is indicative of those shots.
They get to the lane, and Cheyenne Sellers counted in the foul.
Yeah. And that's what you want to see coming out of a timeout where you were told that, hey, we're taking way too many shots outside, so now let's attack inside. The nice lob. Cheyenne Sellers does a tremendous job with her body control, catches it high, 2 hands, and takes it up to the glass for support on this bucket with contact. Love to see that kind of execution out of a timeout if you're a coach.
Cheyenne Sellers evening things up with 6 for the Terrapins.
Nice job there by Cheyenne Sellers to stay connected defensively, disallowing a touch on that dribble handoff action.
Fade pass to Aaliyah Edwards from Samuels.
A great lob pass. There was no help available on the weak side, so that was the proper placement for that one to Edwards, who has tremendous hands on the inside to corral it and finish.
Masonis. Bree McDaniel. Samuels trying to stop her, and she did.
you see your teammate jammed up like that, you got to get into a sight line and help her out.
And Mule is fouled.
Well, patience from UConn on the offensive end really served them well. Nice lob pass right in the hands of Edwards, who finished with the reverse. And then the flat-footed block inside of McDaniels. That's the fifth first half block for the Huskies.
Ducharme. Just joining us, Paige Beckers injuring her eye in the first quarter as Edwards takes some contact. It'll stay with UConn, and now Edwards down.
Let's take a look at it. The pass coming into Edwards. Defense set on the weak side. Jamming up to space for Edwards. Takes a hard fall, but she got some contact there as well.
10 on the shot clock. Ducharme now with 6 drives baseline with the bounce to Edwards. A scramble here, and the tie-up possession arrow is with Connecticut.
Maryland's done a good job in this zone, not giving up touches in the paint. And when the ball does come in there, they're on the pass and arriving when the ball arrives in the hands of the catcher on the lane line.
Now only 2 on the shot clock. Mule surveying. Off to Samuel. She only has 1. She ran out of time.
Gino Ariema has his palms to the ceiling, wondering, why didn't we get that shot up?
And the freshman, part of a loaded class. As you look at Beckers, sideline with the eye. UConn already without A.Z. Fudd tonight with a knee injury. Beckers now heads to the table to check back in. Into Sellers, rejected by Griffin. But on the putback, it goes for Brown-Turner.
Griffin just had lasers in terms of her timing on that block.
Another stop by the Terps as Samuel's off.
Patience will serve Maryland well on this possession. Just try to massage the defense down and then work it to the second or third side for an easy look, but UConn is ravenous with their energy.
Renee Alexander in her 6th season of college basketball.
That ball got to 3 different sides on that possession. That's why they got that bucket.
Caden Samuels is fouled.
Well, this is why patience is a virtue, right? The play is broken down. Get the extra pass, the swing to the corner. Gets that 3 to go.
As Beckers gets the applause, checking back in with Arnold, and now talking with official Joe Vasili. Caden Samuels, she's a Maryland kid. What do you like about her?
I like everything about her. I mean, Gino Ariema said that she does about 2 out of 10 things correctly. She can shoot the leather off the ball, it's one thing, and she's fearless, which is the second thing, which is another reason why I like that he compared me to her. But he said, you know, she's so young, she has a tremendous upside, but she has just the ability to compete at a high level, and she's so smart with her decisions as well on both sides of the floor. We've already seen her with a couple of blocks.
Sellers. Oh, Cheyenne Sellers is sensational. How'd she get that to go?
That was a magical moment.
Samuels. Lavender Briggs with the rebound. Maryland has taken some control.
There's patience here. You see Faith Massonis taking over the point guard duties in this particular set.
Massonis, known as the team mom, with the dish, everything but the end result. Edwards tries to corral, and Maryland will get it back for another trip.
As Faith Massonis, she's one of 10 children in her family, and she is the mom of that group of brothers and sisters at her house.
Beckers driving, hanging, a little long. Terps have some numbers. And flucked it out, it'll stay with them.
Listen, last year was sophomore Shy. This season, it's junior Shy, and it's showtime for junior Shy. Look at this acrobatic reverse. Let's just call it a reverse, right? She came and had her back to the basket and flicked her wrist to the backboard for that one. Tough bucket.
She plays with swagger.
She does.
A traveling violation.
Maybe it's because her father, Brad Sellers, played in the NBA with Michael Jordan back in the day. He's the mayor now in Ohio. But he is ever present at her games, and her mom as well. There's a documented story about her mom having MS. And how Cheyenne has so much compassion for her mom in those moments. And it's a really beautiful story if you ever look that up.
Really is. Mom Kim got Cheyenne inspired to play basketball at an early age.
Yes.
It wasn't Dad at first. Jumper's good for Masonis. Faith Masonis.
You see Maryland now settling into what they want to do on the offense again. Early on wasn't the case.
Arnold to Edwards.
Great connection inside that high-low. That's basic basketball, old school, if you will, taking it down into the paint.
Briggs heaves. Edwards battles for it and gets it. Edwards now pulls and connects.
But if you're Maryland, you can't wait to contest that shot. Albeit Edwards missed one early on, but you've got to close out, especially if you're in a zone and you're that middle player, you got to push up.
Sonis a little off. Sellers and Beckers battling to the deck. That's the intensity of this one, two of the best players in the country. Whoa.
Well, we said whichever team is going to come with the grit, who's going to dig the basketball out of the mud, who wants it more. Both teams showing a full display of what it's going to take to win this one. Who wants it more? Let's come back and find that answer.
Thank you, Jenny. We look forward to that. Maryland up 1 on UConn because Cheyenne Sellers has come to play.
Cheyenne Sellers, you're going to buy it or are you going to sell it? I think right now, Brenda Freese is buying. And when you look at how Cheyenne Sellers has been able to get her shot selection, she's been able to attack downhill and get to the rim and finish with contact, whether she's dribble drive or they're finding her on cuts to the rim, she's scoring in the painted area.
Look, you brought it up. Maryland had 2 of the top 11 draft picks of the WNBA over the offseason. They lose Diamond Miller, they lose Abby Myers. But Cheyenne told us, now it's my time to fully lead this team.
Absolutely. Players like Abby Myers and Diamond Miller poured into her, and that is what has been so important for Cheyenne Sellers, to be that leader. She's always heard it, and now she's speaking life into everyone else around her like others did before her.
And this one means more to her, Christy, because in a Washington Post article from a couple years ago, Cheyenne said to the Post, I model my game after players like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird. Now she gets to leave her mark in Connecticut tonight.
How about that? How about that? Not lost on her.
They have a ruling from the officiating crew. An intentional foul has been called on Paige Beckers for pulling Sellers down to the deck.
Initially, we didn't see that. It just looked like a hustle for the basketball. But when we saw that replay, you could see that last little pull over this way on Sellers' arm and pulling her down to the floor.
Sellers has 10. Christy, this does not feel like a game that comes 10 days into the season.
No, and both coaches have never shied away from playing a competitive non-conference schedule. And that's what makes you better. That's what makes you prepared for March. See the Iverson action here by Maryland, trying to bring Sellers over the top of the 2 players who were stationed at the elbow extended. You can get into a pick and roll. You can screen opposite off of that. A lot of different variations of that balance of the floor. And then zone again by Maryland at 2-3.
Ashlyn Shade is checked in for Connecticut. They get it downstairs with Edwards delivering the pass this time to Ice Brady.
I love that look, and that's what UConn was working on today in practice. They were working on taking cuts. You roll and replace an area in the zone. You cut behind the line, and that's what they did to perfection on that possession.
Briggs deflected. And here comes Brady and the Huskies.
Smart decision to pull that back out.
Edwards is fouled. Physicality on display in Stores.
That's what both teams were anticipating in this game. You see Faith Massonis reaching in, obviously fouling, but then stayed tangled up with Edwards there and takes a tumble of her own.
As Massonis comes out with the foul, just her first. Leah Edwards steps to the line. Edwards talked to the press yesterday, and she said, "We were embarrassed, we're angry, we're frustrated." Gino Auriemma made his players watch the whole NC State game back from Sunday on Tuesday, close to 2 hours in the film room.
Yeah. Couple things live, women and men, but not the film. Not the film.
What's the longest you were ever sitting in a film room?
Oh, probably a little longer than 2 hours. And that was on a win. So,
whoa!
No, I'm just kidding.
Brown Turner with a push-off, offensive foul. And that's her second. 2 fouls for Jakia Brown Turner.
And that's tough news for Brenda Fries and the Terps. But right here, watch Edwards sliding and getting position and getting right back in front. That's what you want to do. Get to where the ball handler is going and cut them off.
Shade with the left hand, the freshman Ashlyn Shade.
Smooth move by the youngster. Take a look, the rip and go, attacking the hip of Cheyenne Sellers, and then also having the smooth activity to the rim against the second line of defense that rotated over but still gave up space to attack the basket.
A #1 high school player from the state of Indiana, taking her talents to Stores, and Huskies on an 11-2 run with AZ Fudd out again tonight with a knee injury. It means that Gino Auriemma is calling on some of his freshmen to rise to the occasion.
And they have to. Shade didn't play in that game against NC State. She played about 15 minutes in their first game out of the gates.
Kubek and the Terrapins turn it over. Here's Beckers. Beckers, pass Sellers, and the foul.
Take a look right here. Paige Becker shoots the gap, gets her hands into the passing lane, and then it's a foot fight and a foot race to the other side. Cheyenne Sellers tried to hold up and not make the contact, but clipped her with her hip.
That is the 3rd foul on Cheyenne Sellers.
And after hearing the news of Jakia Brown Turner picking up her second, now Sellers with 3 here in the second quarter. That's breaking news.
Something to monitor now. Brenda Fries has a dilemma. 10 straight points for the Huskies. Brown Turner stays on the floor with the 2 fouls. Beckers pulls it down. Paige Beckers is a superstar. Timeout, Maryland. Listen to Gamble.
This This has been a surge of momentum by the Huskies because of one Paige Beckers, who has taken it upon herself to serve up some buckets here at home. She likes to slice and dice. Her body control is at a supreme level. Her teammates love to see it, forcing Maryland to call a timeout.
Christie, since that intentional foul called on Beckers, Cheyenne Sellers hit the 2 free throws. 12-0 UConn after that.
That's why you don't shake the tree that has the beehive in it. That's because then bad things happen, and you can't outrun all the bees, I tell you that. And they have come with the smoke. And Paige Beckers, it is in her eyes right now, that fire.
The Huskies bring in the defense.
Well, the defense has turned into magnificent opportunities for UConn to score the basketball. They have shut off the gaps, and that is something that Gino Auriemma said we must do that in this game because we did not do that against NC State.
Brown-Turner down to Kubak, and a foul. Send Brown-Turner to the line. Tom Brady.
Seems like the only time UConn fouls on the inside is when Maryland gets to the offensive boards. So in order to fix that, you got to keep a body on, maintain your contact, and slide your feet, right? It's like defensive stance with contact.
So Jakia Brown-Turner to the line after successful 4 years at NC State. She's from Oxon Hill, Maryland, decides to cap off her college career at home.
Yeah, the lefty is back home, is how Brenda Fries describes it. And they've welcomed her with open arms, giving them more depth on all 3 levels. She's a threat everywhere on the floor. Still zoned by Maryland defensively.
Griffin a little bit long. Brady bodies to the deck again, and it belongs to the Terps.
Great fight on the glass. Both coaches said it's got to be a win for our team on the glass. Look at all the physical play. The ball goes off of the Huskies on that one. Here's the Iverson action. See the wheel action, the guards going through off the post at the elbows, and now you can work a 2-man game or an ISO.
And Brady stepped in. Beckers has it. Paige Beckers. Beckers motors to the lane and hits. Paige Beckers with 11.
Solid skill set by Paige Beckers, who has loved the game for so long and has waited to play over 564 days. This season is here now.
Kubek a little bit long. Here comes Mule. Shade. Ashlyn Shade. Welcome to Stores.
What a tremendous look there by the freshman.
A 20-4 scoring run by Connecticut. Maryland without a made field goal in the last 5 minutes. Masonis. And we get a whistle. With Kubek down and in pain.
We'll take a look. Look at the scrappy play, and Paige Beckers coming up with the steal. A little in and out gives her the space and quick twitch ability to turn the corner and get downhill and finish. And oh, there's contact there on Kubek. She goes straight down.
The officials are heading to the monitor to review this.
Trying to come through. Yeah, Griffin was trying to come through the screen, but she had that arm bar up high above the shoulder area, making contact on Kubek.
And that could lead to free throws for Maryland with that type of contact. Kubek was coughing.
Yeah. And I was hit in the throat that way when I was playing, and when you get hit and you're already out of breath, it's almost like a hyperventilating situation where you can't get enough air in, and it's a very scary feeling. So hopefully she's okay.
Allie Kubek, Towson transfer. The officials have ruled that it was just incidental contact, so no foul call. Tomorrow night, prime time comes to FS1 as Coach Prime and Shedeur Sanders lead Colorado in a Pac-12 battle under the lights against Washington State. Tomorrow night at 10:30 Eastern on FS1.
What does Coach Prime say? Win. Both of these teams here in Stores want to win. And they have been showing the physical play to prove it. And Paige Becker said, hey, we need to improve our discipline and killing our guys, our practice guys.
Paige Beckers with 14 first half points, making a statement. Shot clock off. Brown Turner. With 8 seconds left, here comes Beckers. She's had the huge A. Paige Beckers, the National Player of the Year candidate, will go on the line.
You can see when she changed speed, it's a problem for Maryland. But Paige Beckers right here rises. Look at the moon ball and the spin on that basketball. And then right here getting downhill, drawing contact. The defense that was not established, but you can just feel the intensity from Paige Beckers. It's palpable. She's pumping up the student section that is packed to the brim here on the baseline.
What adjustment can Maryland make at the half?
You have to play defense without fouling, number one, because Sellers needs to be on the floor for Maryland running that point guard position for the Terps. They can ill afford to have her out. If she picks up an early fourth foul in the third quarter, that's going to be trouble for Maryland.
15 first half points for Paige Beckers as Masonis, and that will take us to the break. Cheyenne Sellers with those 3 fouls. Paige Beckers and the Huskies responded from a deficit halfway through the second quarter. And UConn and Maryland in a top 20 showdown that's been intense, physical, a battle in Stores. Paige Beckers took control in the second quarter for UConn to be up 15 on number 20 Maryland heading into the third. First half stats sponsored by Jeep. There's only one. Christy Winter-Scott, what stands out?
PB with the J for Paige Beckers with the jumper, first of all. But when you're looking at the percentages, look at what Connecticut has been able to do, 52% from the floor. And the 12 turnovers by the Maryland Terrapins, that has been to their detriment.
7 blocks, 5 steals for the Huskies defensively. A point of emphasis by you heading into this game as well.
Has been defense. You have to be able to be disruptive, and that's what Gino Auriemma told us today. He said, not really sure we know exactly how to be disruptive, but what they have been able to do is close the gaps, and they have not been able to let Maryland do what they want to do on that offensive end. They really took control in that second quarter as well with that.
And Paige Beckers is kind of special, right?
PB with the J, that's what I say. She has been fantastic. She got poked in the eye right here. So that's what I call hitting the beehive with a stick, because after that, it was on and cracking. She was all over the place, staying deliberate and intentional with her shot selection, but it was the getting downhill and finishing with contact for me. Paige Beckers took it upon herself to get things going for UConn here at home. First quarter, 2 for 4. In that second quarter, John, 4 for 5. So she was on fire, and in turn, Connecticut was as well.
Connecticut closing the first half on a 20-2 run. Cheyenne Sellers has 3 fouls, something to monitor as the second half begins. Jatia Brown-Turner, Edwards wouldn't let her have it.
That's what I was talking about, jamming up that painted area and not giving any free space in there.
Beckers gets it away.
That's That's why you can't get up in the air and make passing decisions. You have to know what you're doing with the ball before you leave your feet.
Jakia Brown-Turner unafraid.
That lefty jumper is smooth and pure from Brown-Turner. And they're going to need that extra offense. They're going to need at least 3 or 4 players to score in double figures for Maryland. Sticking with that zone.
Beckers left open. Battle for the rebound. It belongs to Griffin. Beckers with the right hand.
This is easy money right there. Drifting inside with those long limbs. Paige Beckers with the scoop shot on that one.
Lavender Briggs.
What Maryland can't do is force action like that into a scrum of defenders inside the lane.
Nice step through by Sellers. Cheyenne Sellers looking to turn it on. How about Aubrey Griffin defensively?
Tremendous timing defensively right here. Take a look. Sellers trying to turn the corner. It was almost like a volleyball block. 2 high hands staying vertical to get a piece of that one. Sending it out.
Christy, Aubrey Griffin gets the start for AZ Fudd. She has 4 of the team's 8 blocks.
She has been active and taken it upon herself to take away scoring opportunities and options for Maryland.
As Masonis can't reel in the pass.
Had a little too much spin on it. The idea.
Aaliyah Edwards. Beckers with the offensive rebound. 17 points, 11 of which came in the second quarter for Beckers. Off to Nika Mule. And an offensive foul here on the other end of the floor on Alexander.
We were talking about how physical his game has been from the jump. That particular play, Faith Masonis making a lot of contact there when everyone was trying to sprint down the floor.
Officials do clarify it's on Masonis, not Alexander, away from the ball. Her second. Ducharme. Nice defense by Jakia Brown-Turner.
Matchup worked well that time for the Terps.
Sellers is fouled.
Maryland, they're so good when they can get into the open floor, and when Cheyenne Sellers sprints to the cup, you know UConn knows she's going there, and they try to take that touch away. And she faded away from that one, but got fouled there.
Cheyenne Sellers also named to the Nancy Lieberman Award watch list, which recognizes the top point guard in women's college basketball. And you think about it, Christy, what makes her so unique, the fact that she is a point guard and she's 6'2".
Right, and that just affords fantastic vision and the ability to see over top of smaller defenders. See what Maryland does here defensively on the last possession. UConn was setting a screen on that back line for a skip pass. This time they take it right to the rim.
KK Arnold, the freshman.
I love her game. She plays with so much energy, and we saw that today in practice with Arnold and how shifty and smooth she was to the rim earlier today. And it was almost the same area where she splits the wickets and gets downhill to finish. In between 2 Maryland defenders, nicely done. There's that dribble handoff that Connecticut likes to do to get the ball reversals, and then the high ball screen from Edwards, and they're trying to get her some touches and get her going down inside.
Edwards a little off, and will stay with the Huskies.
Edwards hasn't gotten a lot of easy touches down there for shots.
That was Maryland's goal. Players told us at shoot-around, we have to make it hard for them. Edwards, a freight train. Aaliyah Edwards with a dozen.
She's just so strong. Was a third-team All-American last year, preseason All-Big East again this year. And she's on the Katrina McClain watch list.
Brown Turner a little off. Offensive rebound to Briggs. Briggs with a feed. Beckers. Reservation denied.
Well, it has been the defensive intensity by UConn tonight. Paige Beckers sending that one to the 5th row of the student section and telling them, yeah, I sent it there.
What'd you say about poking the bear?
Yeah, you can't do it. Don't poke the bear, don't shake the tree with the beehive in it, because you're going to be running for your life, man.
Arnold to Beckers. Paige Beckers with 19 points.
It's been easy offense from their defensive pressure. It has created this gap in the score now for UConn.
And now Beckers with the steal. Now she delivers it to Griffin. It is all Connecticut right now in stores. Gamble on fire.
UConn and their ability to score has come solely from their defensive pressure. It has been impactful, and it has shifted the momentum in this game. The home team finding each other in transition. Big difference maker.
The Connecticut Huskies up 21, and they're doing it with defense.
Well, they have been all over the court. They have been on a string on the defensive end. They've been communicative. They've been active in the passing lanes. They've been blocking shots as well. And it has been so tough for Maryland to have any daylight, especially in the paint. But what they've been able to do in their live ball turnover opportunities is get easy offense at the rack. And just look at what they've been able to do. It's a paint point advantage of 32-10, which is basically the difference in this game, John. And the 9 blocks has been really magnificent. Points off turnovers, 20 of those. Gino Ariema at this juncture of the game has to be pleased with how they have bounced back from that loss against NC State on Sunday.
Can Cheyenne Sellers get going? Sellers a little bit off. Held her to 3 of 10 from the floor. Numbers on the other end. Griffin was met by Brown Turner.
That's how Maryland can try to chip back into this game.
Offensive foul on Arnold.
They've got to get some stops of their own. And sometimes when things are being done to you defensively, maybe flip the script and try to do the same thing. And you see Brown Turner getting right there, setting her body, getting established, and taking the hit.
Great point by you, because what did Maryland's players tell us this morning? We have to make UConn guard us.
Absolutely. Got to flip the script right now if they want to get back into this one.
Sellers and Beckers meet again. And the jump ball.
It has been a mud fight when these two teams have hit the deck trying to fight for possessions. That's what we were talking about, too. Possessions make a huge difference. Talking about glasswork, talking about steal and scoreability.
Possession arrow to UConn here. Griffin cutting in. Double. Oh, another gritty defensive play underneath. And that jump ball belongs to Maryland.
Well, both teams are fighting for a win after losing their last games respectively, and it starts with getting a hold of the basketball.
UConn up 21 on Maryland. Christy Winter-Scott, this has been a war tonight.
It most certainly has. Over the pandemic, I have 3 kids, and this is what that looked like. Look, a poke in the eye. Everybody's down. Hey, look right here. I have the basketball up, and a little extra grab of the arm, and then bodies to the deck, trying to get the 50-50 opportunities to be in their favor. Charges have been taken. A ton of blocks have occurred. This has been so much fun to watch.
And this is why you're seeing some of that desperation come out. These two programs, they're not ever used to being 1 and 2.
No, and that's why both teams are fighting the way that they are, because of the pride of their tradition. And that's what it has meant for these two coaches who have been stalwarts for their respective teams. And when you're talking about Brenda Freeze, there's only been 3 coaches in 53 years for the University of Maryland: Dottie McKnight, Chris Weller, and Brenda Freeze.
Amazing consistency in winning in College Park. Turnover as Briggs couldn't reel it in. And UConn without A.Z. Fudd, a knee injury sidelining her tonight. So the freshman KK Arnold, Ashlyn Shade getting some run for the Huskies, and a traveling is called. Caroline Ducharme with an ice pack on the bench. This has been the story for UConn these last 3 seasons.
Yes, and you just can't account for that. And A.Z. Fudd there will be reevaluated, and we'll see what's going on with her by next week, but it's just unfathomable.
Griffin has been in every passing lane. They hang on to it, though. Jakia Brown-Turner. Nice offensive rebound and a foul. That'll send Kubek to the line.
And again, something that we spoke about in the first half. The fouls that UConn has committed has been when they have given up rebounding, positioning inside to Maryland to give them second and third chance opportunities to get a bucket on the interior. So they have to sustain it. That's something that Gino Auriemma told us as well. It's one thing to execute, it's another thing to sustain the execution, and Brenda Freeze said as much as well.
They both said that the losses to NC State for UConn, to South Carolina for Maryland, really got their players to focus on the fact that all the time that's spent in August, September, October, that all means something when you get into a game.
Absolutely. I mean, it can get mundane when it comes to it being so basic and, oh, this is so easy to do this drill, or we've done this drill every day. But if you take into account that it's going to help you in situations where you want to win games, you're going to do it with that much more intention.
You said as a former player today, you always love games over practice.
Oh, yeah. And that's what, you know, Brenda Freeze and Gino Auriemma have said, hey, these games are going to start coming fast and furious, and that's what players love, right? Game after game, not a whole week-long of practice. They want game after game, and associate head coach for Maryland, Karen Blair, said that to us as well this morning.
3 on the shot clock here. Oh, what a finish for KK Arnold.
KK Arnold plays with no fear, and Gino Auriemma said that too. He said sometimes young players are reluctant to make a mistake, and they'll be passive and just not take the opportunity. Not his freshmen. His freshmen are unscathed when it comes to making tough choices with the basketball.
Edwards stripped Kubek. Leah Edwards, we talked about UConn, all the shorthandedness over the last couple of years. But Aaliyah, she's only ever missed 1 game in her career. She's been the constant for this program. To the corner, it's Ice Brady. Not this time.
But that's a shot area that UConn was attacking earlier today in their practice. They want to take it there and space the floor.
Sellers and a blocking foul.
KK Arnold is a fearless freshman, and she loves to attack the painted area. It doesn't matter who's there waiting on her. She's going to go right through the scrum and get what she wants out of the possession, and that's a bucket in traffic. In this game, we talked about the physical play. Bodies crashing to the ground, bodies crashing into one another there. Cheyenne Sellers is still trying to get herself on track. Just 3 of 10 shooting from the floor coming into this game, averaging 23 points per contest. for Maryland.
Told you about it earlier that her mom, Kim, lied to a local youth league that was taking 5-year-olds. Cheyenne was around 3-4 years old. And Kim said, yep, she's 5 years old. She's ready to play in this league.
That's what I said to my kids when I go the other way for movies back in the day. They're 7. That's when they get in free. Oh, there he is.
Brad Sellers playing at Wisconsin and Ohio State. And as you said, with Michael Jordan. The Bulls at 1 point.
And Mike Tebow, who was an assistant coach with the Bulls, was here at practice today. He is the general manager of the Washington Mystics in the WNBA, and he said that Brad Sellers came in the very next year after he left.
Edwards and a travel. Lots of interest from the WNBA world tonight.
Oh, absolutely. And then you have to love the connectivity. And for these young ladies to be able to dream and aspire because of the league being in place, it's been fun to watch that evolve as well.
Brady kept that alive. Now Sellers, with 2 Huskies swarming her, jump ball belongs to UConn.
2 Huskies swarming. That has been indicative of what this game has been like.
Here is that Star Watch with Caitlin Clark and number 2 Iowa up next on FS1 against Kansas State.
Well, you see Caitlin Clark there. She just became the all-time leading scorer at Iowa. And then LSU, a lot of busy thumbs today with LSU. But I tell you what, it's going to be such an exciting college basketball season on the women's side for sure. And I can't wait to watch Caitlin Clark tonight.
In and out for Brown Turner. Extra chance here for the Terps. They're fighting. Brown Turner, Jakia Brown Turner is making a major impact.
She is trying to gain some traction for the Maryland Terrapins. Factoring in her physical play inside and staying persistent with her effort.
Physicality again underneath. And 3 seconds is called on Aaliyah Edwards.
See Gino Auriemma there. And he has talked about his schedule being super competitive and just trying to find the right pieces. And he said usually there are 4 or 5 games to figure that out before you get into the thick of things. And he said we don't have that. Now you just go right in and you try to figure it out on the fly. And Gino Auriemma, the winner of 11 national titles at the helm of the Huskies here in Stores, just an incredible legacy he has created here for so many. Starting back in 1995 with Rebecca Lobo's group going undefeated to win the first title here.
Alexander off on the first free throw. You were talking with him today about his early days in coaching when he was an assistant at Virginia under Debbie Ryan.
Yes, and he said those 4 years between 1981 and 1985 that he spent with Debbie Ryan on the sidelines, he said that was the most impactful time of his career because he learned so much during that tenure. A 1-2-2 press here by Maryland, who's showing some blitzing and trapping and icing of their own.
A timeout was called with the shot clock at 21, just in the nick of time. And that face on Auriemma says it all. Well, let's throw back a little bit, Christy Winter-Scott. With these 2 coaches, think about this time machine.
Oh, look at them. Oh, super cute. Look at the hair. And I told you, I remember him when he was recruiting me. He kept going through his hair, and I'm fervently going through my hair right now. He said, yeah, I still do that, but I just have less hair. And Brenda Freese taking over at Maryland in 2002, winning the only title for the University of Maryland in 2006 in Boston with players like Christy Tolliver, Crystal Langhorne, Marissa Coleman, Laura Harper, Shea Duran. Just a great run.
How about that list?
How about that?
A company of legends there.
Oh, that's big time. That's big time. And that is a lot of hard work, but also a lot of tentacles that are being set for the game. A lot of seeds planted to continue the legacy of excellence that those coaches have set forth.
So now Beckers takes a hard hit as they were inbounding it to get it across the timeline. It's just the third team foul for Maryland.
Let's take a look right here. Beckers gets up in the air and gets undercut there for the foul.
Clock issue here on the inbounds. John Fanta, Christy Winter-Scott with you from Storrs, Connecticut. Saw Lisa Bluner's name on that list of coaching legends. We'll see the Hawkeyes up next here on FS1 taking on Kansas State. A loaded FS1 doubleheader with Beckers, the opening act. Caitlin Clark is ahead.
Now get your popcorn ready and make sure you have something to drink, because I'll tell you what, it's going to be a great night.
4 on the shot clock. Oh, turnover. Nice steal for Emily Fisher. She can't lay it in. Put back doesn't go. And Brady is fouled. Just when the Terps had something.
And basketball just sat right up on the rim. Maryland trying to get into the gap, trying to create easy offense. But you got to get 2 hands on the basketball when you take it up like that, my friend. You can't take it easy. You hear those footsteps coming, that speeds you up a little bit. So that makes you want to grab that basketball with 2 hands and guide it in there with that left hand, not go one-handed. It's not the N1 mixtape situation here. You can't be fancy. You have to be fundamental.
Pressure returns for Maryland. To the corner, it's Shade. The freshman has stepped up. Ashlyn Shade.
No shade on that one, because this young lady has been phenomenal and fearless with her production here this evening.
Shot clock off. Cheyenne Sellers trying to find it. A freshman, Arnold, glued on her. Sellers just throwing it up there. Battle for it with 1 second left to beat the buzzer. And that'll do it for quarter number 3.
UConn has taken total control of this one. The shade coming from the corner is big time. Brenda Freeze trying to change things, but UConn's defense has been staunch, and they've been able to pay it off on the other side.
Welcome back to Storrs. There's a lot of legends in the crowd tonight. Mike Tebow is one of them, the winningest coach in WNBA history.
Fantastic savant of the game of basketball. His son Eric is the head coach there in DC for the Washington Mystics, who won the title back in 2019, but he's also affiliated with USA Basketball, and a lot of these players have aspirations not only to play in the WNBA, but with USA Basketball as well. And you love to see that connectivity between the professional leagues and the international leagues of USA Basketball and the collegiate level.
Can Maryland chop into this lead? Sellers has been kept in check. Beckers guarding her, and a foul.
It has been nothing easy coming to Cheyenne Sellers this evening. Every shot that she's taken tonight has been this difficult. I mean, she has really had to be an acrobat to get a clean look to release the shot. Just look at how hard it is for her to rise up into her shooting pocket to get a shot. And she's just feeling the frustration, like, we have time, but we just have to stay patient and get it done. But she's not getting clean looks at all. And credit Connecticut for that defensive attention to detail with her skill set.
Up on the first free throw attempt. Brenda Freeze says, Cheyenne's smile, the way that she plays for us, it is really, really contagious.
It's contagious, and that's what you want from your leader, right? Especially at the point guard position. The team goes how she goes, with the energy and with the body language, and she plays with such joy.
Shade. It's time. Rebound of the Terps. Emily Fisher. Top-tier freshman is checked in. Edwards, though, getting the basketball. This will be another jump ball. Stays with the Huskies.
UConn, they have been ravenous with their pursuit of stops. on their defensive possessions, and you see Edwards there coming up with it, but just nowhere to go when you're in the corner. That's like 2 extra defenders, the baseline and the sideline, and you have 2 defenders in an iced situation. And I know coaches call traps a lot of different things, but ice is one of them, blitzing is another. But they have done a good job of not allowing any crevices of light to get any relief passes out to take the pressure off.
Peyton Samuels, the freshman, back in. Just 2 points tonight for UConn after scoring 14 against NC State. Arnold attacking. KK Arnold! The other freshmen have made the statement this evening.
Well, this has just been a tremendous evening and breakout games for the freshmen for the UConn Huskies. And look at the emotion after. You love to see it. Straight line drives to the bucket, finishing strong with contact. Slow rotation coming from Maryland. And the UConn able to pay it off on the line with KK Arnold coming up big once again.
You'll love this. KK Arnold said in the preseason, it's an honor being yelled at by Gino Auriemma. Gino told the press she's going to get honored a lot.
You know what? It's not what he says, it's how he says it, right? Or it's how he says it, it's what he says.
A banked-in 3 for Alexander.
She shoots that 10 times, she'll make a couple of them, but I don't know if they'd be off the glass. The degree of difficulty that UConn is forcing Maryland to take and make shots has been at an all-time high level.
Giving up 92 to NC State over the weekend, the most they'd allowed in a game in regulation since 2001 to Pat Summit in Tennessee. 5 on the shot clock. Offensive foul on Beckers for 3rd.
They were saying Paige Beckers may have led with the basketball there to clear a path. You see Tanya Cardozo there. Back on the bench with Gino, and straight there. I don't know if that was, if Sellers was quite fully established.
Sonis and Edwards in a tie-up. It'll stay with the Terrapins.
See if Maryland can execute. They like to run a little 2-man game, possibly. Cheyenne Sellers just forced that one with 2 defenders on her. And those are the kinds of shots that UConn wants Maryland to take. Under duress, sped up, with more than 1 defender in the way.
Samuels to Beckers with 10. Paige Beckers has had the big night. Paige Beckers has 21.
Well, she knew right where to go against that zone, and that's a soft spot right there at the nail on the foul line.
A travel.
But what UConn was working on earlier today in practice was attacking those weak spots of the zone after you shift it with a pass or a dribble drive. You see Paige Beckers getting the defender off balance first to clear space, and then now she can attack it 10 toes down to the paint, right at that Big East logo, and pull up and knock in a bucket.
Peyton Samuels. Rebound to Sellers.
Samuels was knocking down that shot from the same spot all day long this morning at practice.
Arnold with the interception. No AZ Fudd tonight, out with a knee injury. Beckers has led the way, and a foul now on Sellers. That is Cheyenne Sellers' 4th foul.
It's just been a tough way to go all evening long for Cheyenne Sellers on both sides of the floor.
Brenda Freeze will have Sellers take a seat. McDaniel checking in. Edwards was out of bounds.
There's AZ Fudd there. The DMVer named after Jennifer Azzi, who played at Stanford, graduated there in 1990. Her mom was a huge fan of Jennifer Azzi, and that, my friends, is how she got her name.
Masonics.
Just not able to get any kind of traction with their offensive firepower. You know, you saw them against South Carolina, and they did well out of the gates in the first half, except for the last 90 seconds of that first half when South Carolina took over the game.
Arnold kicks. Griffin. Rebound to the Terps. Riley Nelson has checked in. The freshman, part of a star-studded freshman class for Maryland. Another turnover. Their 25th turnover of the night.
And that has been a huge issue for Maryland. And we said it was going to be a battle of which team can maximize their possessions, and obviously it has been UConn in that area because of those turnovers that they've been able to force.
That was Brenda Freese's top key for this game, ball security.
Yes.
This Maryland team has high hopes once again. Picked fourth in the Big Ten, a loaded league.
Yeah, a loaded league. Last year, 7 teams went to the NCAA tournament. A record 3 teams advanced to the Elite 8. And for the first time ever, they have had those 3 teams go to the Elite 8. Iowa went to the championship game, John, and that was the first time since 2005 that has happened for a Big Ten team.
You get Cody McMahon in Ohio State, Mackenzie Holmes in Indiana. Stacked. This Terps team at number 4. Arnold put a move on. Beckers. Blocking foul.
That has been so tough for Maryland, that dribble drive and the ability to contain that. Let's take a look right here. Little rip and step over that top leg to gain the advantage on the point of attack. That has been there all evening long, but you see Brenda Freese giving grace on the sidelines with her players. It's always a teaching moment. Jakia Brown-Turner is the recipient of that earful there.
Off to Beckers. Paige Beckers is back. And Gina Auriemma says better than ever. Underneath, that one falls. For Riley Nelson, you like this Terps freshman group?
I love this freshman group across the nation, right? There's been some incredible performances by some elite level freshmen this season. But it's been Paige Beckers all evening long for the Huskies. She is back, and she has been better than ever, as Gino Auriemma has said. And no one's happier about that than PBJ.
Thank you, Jenny. We look forward to watching that one against a good Kansas State program.
Absolutely. And Iowa, they have been clicking. They lost a couple of starters, but they have Caitlin Clark and Associates. Last year was a law firm. This year is a little different. But what has remained the same all game long for Connecticut has been their defensive intensity. They have been bullish with their defense. They have blocked shots. They have been in gaps. They have gotten live ball turnovers and flipped that into bucket-making opportunities in transition. And when you look at the story of this game, John, it has been the turnovers forced. UConn came into this one forcing 17 turnovers per game. And you see Maryland has 25 of those, and they've been able to score 23 points off of those miscues. And if you look at the scoreboard, you get a couple of those possessions back, a different story.
What did Paige Beckers tell us at shoot-around this morning? She took it personally. What happened Sunday, giving up 92 to NC State?
Absolutely, and she said, hey, we sat in film, we watched what we did, we knew we were better than that, and we challenged ourselves to show and prove here at home.
KK Arnold. KK having a big night with 10.
KK all day. That's what she has been able to do. And just look at her eyes. I mean, she is active as she surveys back and forth, head on a swivel defensively. Fired up offensively when she gets and ones, when her teammates get blocks. That's the spirit of sports you love to see.
Shade. Offensive rebound. Griffin can't connect. Shade gets it back.
Trying to get a reset here. But what UConn has been able to do well against Maryland's defense is spread the floor and attack, and there they go again.
Nika Mule. On the other end, a foul. Count it for Bree McDaniel.
And that's where Maryland has found success in the open floor, when they can push the pace with the pass. But UConn in the quarter court, they've been able to spread Maryland out, take hard, purposeful cuts off the ball, get into the vision of their teammates when Maryland swarms and tries to cover and blitz. Again, they've turned Maryland over for a quality number of times and won the possession battle because of it.
An ovation for Aaliyah Edwards. 12 points for the UConn center in 35 minutes. Foul on McDaniel. Lots to give for Maryland in this fourth.
When you're talking about a player like Aaliyah Edwards, who just left the court for the Huskies, subbed out. She's the leading scorer, but also the leading rebounder for Connecticut in this early portion of the season. But she's attempted the most shots and the most free throws coming into this game as well.
Shade, what a nice delivery from Griffin. How about Aubrey Griffin stepping in for AZ Fun?
That has been so good for Connecticut.
As Shade pursued the basketball, a foul.
Aubrey Griffin, number 44 there in white for Connecticut, started this game in the absence of AZ Fun, and she has just been masterful. On both sides of the court, she has been active as a defender. She has been aggressive with no hesitation as an offensive attacker. Gino Auriemma has to be pleased with the effort of his team in this game. And the sustainability of this effort has really been impressive as well.
13 rebounds for Griffin. Jump ball is called, and will stay with the Huskies.
I mean, whenever you get double digits in rebounding, that's a will.
Ashlyn Shade with a breakout night. In double figures. She and Arnold have combined for 20. Now Shade with the basketball. Into the hands of Mule. Nika with a crossover. Nice dime to Griffin. And one. Aubrey, the daughter of Milwaukee Bucks head coach Adrian Griffin. Basketball family.
I know he's proud. Coaching players up like Dame Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, that's just fun times.
Listen to this for Griffin.
Her career high in rebounds at 16 against Temple, but she had a fine showing on the glass here with those 13 rebounds in this contest.
Sellers with a give, but Brady attacked that. Another turnover.
Just the fight and the scrum from Connecticut all game long.
Gino Auriemma will call a substitution timeout. Enes Bencourt checks in, the sophomore from Portugal, for Mule. Well, after giving up 92 points, almost an exact opposite script tonight.
Almost half of that here, and then, you know, you've just seen UConn take every action away from Maryland. Especially with Sellers, they were really tight on her.
Ice Brady with an exclamation point on a big night for Connecticut.
Just have the best name in basketball. Come on, man. Ice Brady, come on.
Pull up three for Riley Nelson, a little bit off. And Arnold now will pull this out. As Caden Samuels checks back in, this Maryland team pulled off an amazing win last year over UConn, their first in the 8 meetings between the two. Now for the Huskies, they're back on FS1 this Sunday at Minnesota, a homecoming game for Paige Beckers.
Absolutely, and that's going to be a packed house there as well. And it's going to feel like a home game for Paige in a lot of ways because she'll see a lot of familiar faces, but that's going to be a great contest against another Big Ten team.
A revealing performance for KK Arnold.
Yeah, KK Arnold has come alive, especially in the second half. And you could just see the confidence continue to grow. Not that she lacked any, but the fact that she was able to come in and show it. 5 of 6 from the floor for the freshman.
Cheyenne Sellers, she can do some brilliant things. And one. We turn Christie to Maryland and will take on Syracuse on Sunday in a game that will be on Big Ten Network at noon. And then they head to a multi-team event, Washington State. It gets no easier for Brenda Frese.
No, and she wouldn't want it any other way. She knows that this is going to help develop her team. They have 7 new players to the fold, and Brenda Frese has always been able to find a way to get the job done. You saw them advance all the way to the Elite 8 last year with 9 new players on that squad. 7 new players on this one, 4 freshmen, 2 walk-ons, and a transfer.
The crowd showing their appreciation at Gamble. Paige Beckers scores 24 to lead UConn past Maryland in a dominant performance.
Well, it was a solid defensive energy that got UConn this win over a tough Maryland team that played scrappy basketball but just could not come up with the buckets because of the flurry of stoppages that UConn was able to sustain from the jump ball to the final buzzer.
No easy FUD, but no problem. The Huskies get 4 in double figures and win. Let's send it to our Los Angeles studios with Jenny Taft.